I saw this when it came out, and I don't know what it was called then. It's what's now Summerfield. And I remember leaving it like pretty like I don't know, I didn't really like it.
Same here.
And I remember thinking that it was mostly because the main character's sort of hard. He's so inert. It's like someone took the narration from the original cut of Blade Runner, and made a movie around that person.
Uh-huh.
You mean Deckard?
Yeah, take the narration from Blade Runner, which everybody hates, and just make a whole movie like that.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same too. Yeah,
you kind of nailed it, Chris.
Yeah,
when did this movie come out? Remind me. What year?
2001.
Yeah, it was the one right after Oh Brother. No, Oh Brother.
Yeah, it was.
Oh Brother.
After
one movie before that they did No Country for. So
when you're trying, speaking as the guy who didn't rewatch it, trying to remember a movie I saw in 2001 at this point, I remember very little except a vague impression that it's black and white and Billy Bob Thornton drives around and looks at things a lot.
Not really, no. He doesn't do that. It's a very much a kind of almost. It's a lot of interior spaces. There's a lot of the department store that happens.
Maybe I'm mixing it with Chinatown a little bit.
Well, so just to say
they rename Rosenberg's Nerdlingers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is that what's going on? Was Rosenberg's a big Santa Rosa department store back in the
was the big anchor store downtown before there was, a series.
How much does this movie really have it with Santa Rosa though?
There's a couple of exteriors like on 4th Street and some in the suburbs and on the hills. That's it. The rest is shot.
Nothing like shadows.
Like all the exteriors of the houses.
I think it's suited the needs of the screenplay, which is proximity to a major metro like SF and proximity to a place where you would find a good lawyer like Sacramento.
That's
and Hitchcock homage, right?
It's way
just to say it. So I remember like leaving this one fairly, lukewarm about the whole thing. Kind of the same way I thought about Lebowski, although Lebowski for me, and actually things like Lebowski and Burn After Reading and a couple of others improved over time. Watching this again, I will say that I liked it more than the first time. I do think it is a movie that is much less than the sum of its parts, but what I can't for the life of me understand is how I couldn't remember how lusciously gorgeous the cinematography is in this movie.
Oh, no fooling, man. The photography is amazing.
It is jaw-dropping a lot of the time. And
look at the reflection in his eyes.
Oh yeah,
you can see the reflection in his eyes. Like it's unbelievable.
This is one of the best looking things Deakins has ever shot, and
can we put Tad full screen? Is there a way for me to do that? Let me see. Wait a minute.
Oh, when I edit,
box. Say something, Tad.
What?
Well, you can double click on his picture.
Yeah.
No, but I just it's so fucking beautiful.
It is insanely beautiful.
Also, this scene here, one thing that's great about this, first of all, it's got that lighting behind the camera. So it's kind of claustrophobic feeling, but look at that paint line. It's dead flat, which is like these characters are underwater. And it's like it's so clever. There's lots of great scenes like that in here.
Okay, Mr. Lens.
Hey, Chris.
Is that achievable with a camera and a lens, or did they have to do some tricks?
Anybody could do it. You just gotta paint a room with a line like that.
What about like a spherical distortion from the lens?
No, it's just a normal wide angle shot.
If you get it exactly dead center, you're okay.
You just gotta say any place in your house has got to. You put the camera up where the level is, you can get that split feel. It was really cleverly done.
Just also like Billy Bob as the center of the movie is kind of a tough character to identify with or care about. But what I'd also forgotten was just how good some of the supporting performances are, particularly Tony Shalhoub.
Oh my God!
Every single one of them. Every single other character in this movie is fan.
Yeah, all the supporting characters are flipping great. Yeah, and so I liked it a lot more than the first time. I don't think it's. I mean, I'm probably like 75% on it because his character is so, and maybe that's the point. The man who wasn't there. You create a sort of void at the center of the universe of this movie, and so they dug the hole for themselves, just kind of like start right out of the gate
thematically.
But it was okay because there's so many other things in this movie work. So many of the little individual scenes work really, really well. Gandolfini's really good.
He is really good. Yeah, and this was back when he was doing
not.
And he was in The Sopranos at the time. There's only 2 seasons in when they made this movie.
Yeah.
What, Jim Bisa?
Especially after seeing James Gandolfini in that other flick we watched where he's just wasted, basically.
Oh yeah,
killing him softly.
Yeah,
killing himself. That was a couple years
wasted,
later, right?
Wasted, and yet the best thing in the movie.
Weirdly enough, he brought the charisma, that's for sure. But yeah, Frances McDormand's great in this, and I love the woman who plays Gandolfini's wife. You kind of see her early on. She's kind of this bug-eyed, like
the UFO nut.
Yeah. She came over and stood the porch and gave this UFO speech that was like
that X-Files speech that she gives.
Yeah.
This very much. This is happening in the background of one of those X-Files episodes that's about Mulder's father and the cigarette-smoking man, like hiding Nazis. This is the next town down the road from it.
Yes.
Like,
and weirdly, who saw the Fargo?
Dude, Flying Saucer, Fargo season 3, was it?
Yeah, it was Fargo season 2, the Flying Saucer.
I too. But the thing is, like, they all in that series, they always tie in stuff from their movies, and this is one of them, which is kind of cool.
So there's a flying saucer in a movie that I saw, and I don't remember that there was a flying saucer in that.
I didn't remember it either.
It shows up
really,
and it doesn't really change the ending of the film that much.
That's why I don't remember it.
Yeah,
I'm really surprised because that's one of the things that made one of the strongest impressions on me. Besides the acting, when I first saw this, I saw this in the theater. This is probably the 6th time that I've seen it, and over the course of the 20 years, 21 years since it came out. Well, like, every so often you meet somebody and like they haven't seen any Coen Brothers movies, and then you just start watching all the Coen Brothers movies. So like, that's how it goes, right?
The one you put on 3rd or 8th?
I haven't done the ranking on this one yet, but usually I go in chronological order, and then I pretend nothing happened after No Country. So the thing about this movie, watching it this time, is I was really able to just sort of critically watch it and just let it sort of wash over me.
That's great.
And allowing the visuals and the acting especially to just wash over me as I was watching it this time was a really special experience, because I didn't really care. Like I got up and I left the room, and I like got some food, and I did something on my phone for a minute, and like I don't really do that when I'm watching these movies most of the time. And when I do something like that and I still find myself enthralled by what's going on, I think there is something really special about it. I think the special thing is the cinematography and the acting. And I think, and honestly, I think Billy Bob's acting is really good for what he's playing. Yes. Which is an empty shell of a person.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, The Man Who Wasn't There is two kinds of a title, because also he's the man who wasn't there because he's lying. This entire thing is a story that he's telling to a pulp magazine, so he's lying through his fucking teeth.
Unreliable.
He wasn't there because this isn't what happened.
No. Also, he got accused of murder and he wasn't there. He accused of murder the first time. He was, and exactly. There's a couple different layers going on there. We're talking about.
He's not present in his own life either.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
So, well, the character as it is presented is not present in his own life.
Correct.
Now,
if you go down the rabbit hole that Tad just opened up on the none of this is actually happening, which I can't.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, there's
UFOs.
UFOs.
The UFO shows up.
There's a UFO. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and the convenient excuse of the wife basically coming and essentially forgiving him face to face with the UFO story. Like, oh, well, my wife hasn't touched me for years, so obviously your husband who's sleeping with my wife hasn't touched you for years. Like, that's what you want to believe in that scenario, as opposed to the reality, which is he's also having sex with his wife while he's having sex with your wife. That's, you need to justify this in your head somehow, and that's another way to do it. Like,
there are some great laugh out loud moments in this movie, though, one of which is what happens right after Billy Bob says, I haven't had sex with my wife in 2 years, and the cop's like, well, gotta go.
Yeah, very much.
The other one is when he talks about Frances McDormand agreeing to marry him. He said, or she wants to marry him. He says, don't you want to get to know me better? And she says, what is it?
Is it going to get any better?
Yeah.
The thing that struck me about watching this again is this is interesting because I just watched The Postman Always Rings twice a couple nights ago, and that's James M. Cain, right? No, the original with Lana Turner and John Garfield, but it's James M. Cain, and this is such a James M. Cain type story.
Yeah.
The thing that makes his stories, is the novels and his movies unique, is that there'll be a couple places during the caper. There's always some unfortunate whodunit, or someone's done something bad or wants to do something bad, but in the middle, once or twice, there's places where everything's settled. And that this film does it at least twice, where everything like bad is happening, everything gets better, everything settles down, and it's gonna be normal.
Yeah, there's like a false.
It's a false ending.
The whole stuff, all the stuff with Scarlett at the end is almost like another movie.
This movie could be over in an hour and 21 minutes after the wife commits suicide.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like like literally, you could call the whole thing at that point, and it would probably
because it's a different. The whole thing with Scarlett is just a whole different sort of storyline. Like
the plot was heavily influenced by James M. Cain's crime novels.
Yeah, exactly. But also, there's like it's for him. I thought it was a promise of the future. It's like I could go and be this girl's agent, and we could go and like have a whole new life.
And that goes to shit too.
It goes to shit right behind Chris. It goes to shit. Yes.
It goes to shit. Right, with a French guy right before they get
exactly.
The hubcap in the spaceship is
that was fun.
All good.
It's so Coen Brothers though.
There's there's so many hidden UFOs in this movie. Every time I go back and watch it, I find another hidden UFO in the movie. The judge's lamps are UFOs. All
the overhead dish lamps, they're all like UFOs. They got the little dangles in the bottom. Yeah. It gives you credence the idea that he imagined the whole thing, because he kept seeing that visual element over and over again. Also, that scene behind you, that apartment building, that's on the Paramount lot. You and I walked right by that, John.
Sorry.
It's just that front of it's an apartment in front with a round top like that. It's like really, you see it in a lot of movies. It's right there in Paramount.
It's not anybody's screenshot right now?
That's Tad's screenshot.
That's why I think Deacon shot it from up here, because he's going like, everyone's seen this from the front 100 times. So why don't we see it from 3/4? Why don't we make this an isometric?
It would have been nice though if they knew where Santa Rosa actually was in reference to Sacramento and San Francisco.
I know, like it was weird.
Do a little fucking research, you guys.
Look at a map, maybe.
How about have a real name of a street? How about a real name of a restaurant? And Sacramento is up, not down, and San Francisco is down.
I thought it was due east, like a long way.
No, they kept saying, "Oh, he came up from Sacramento." It's like, no, he came
over from Sacramento.
Over would be the proper word.
You gotta go down and then up again.
Yeah, exactly.
But and then they kept saying, "We're going to go up to San Francisco." It's like, no,
you're not.
We're going down to San Francisco.
Exactly.
Well, hold on. Though people do say going up to San Francisco, if you're talking about it from like a social and artistic context, you are going up to San Francisco,
like the Downton Abbey thing. We're going up to London.
No, I've heard people say up to San Francisco in Santa Rosa
when they're geographically below San Francisco.
Song from Good Times or the Jeffersons, moving on up.
Yeah. I was actually looking forward to actually seeing some Santa Rosa locations. Like maybe they could have put Railroad Square in there, or downtown, or Pioneer Square. But they
even changed the name of the department store, so they didn't really want it.
No, exactly. So that's not too. This was like the Coen
brothers.
This is the sine wave thing.
Nerdlinger
they did Oh Brother, and they were all on board. And they did this, and they're kind of like,
and then they were just being intolerable cruelty, which I like as a guilty pleasure. But that's about it.
This was like,
let's not talk about intolerable cruelty.
Yeah, well, let's try this film out with this unlikable main character and see if everyone digs it. And
Billy Bob is no one really dug it.
He is, and the more we're talking about it, the more I like. I think this is a movie I admire rather than love.
Yeah, I'm going to double that. I'll second
really
that.
Do admire.
I wouldn't say I love it. It's not one of their strongest, but I like it a hell of a lot.
Yeah, I definitely admire it, but I also really at this point in time have come fully around to liking it. Like I didn't dislike it when I first saw it, but I definitely felt it was a weaker one of their movies, and now I feel like it's equally strong to like Barton Fink. In my opinion.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I think Barton's stronger
they're bottom
than
sine wave ones. Well, mind you, this is like Deacon shot this, and Deacon shot No Country, but No Country is like you're pulling off the fabric on the seats because it's so gripping.
Yeah.
But this is kind of like, this is a fun exercise in fake noir, and we're gonna get through this. And
Tony Shalhoub steals every fucking scene.
He does. Oh my God, he's great. I sat in that seat at Moonstone Frank's too. It makes me happy. That's off to the left. You walk in.
I'm gonna eat. You don't mind? You don't mind.
Yeah, it's good stuff. All right. Well, anything else? I mean, you came in late.
Jim's corner.
Garrett, anything? Oh, Jim.
Jim's Corner.
I liked it. It's not a great Coen Brothers movie, but everybody's mentioned stuff that I noticed and didn't like.
Okay.
I mean, we've already talked about. I mean, you guys have already talked about how fucking good looking it is. It's just insane.
It is.
I am impressed. I said this in the chat that I am impressed that he must have lighted it for color.
This was shot in color. This was shot in color.
Wait, what?
This was shot in color, and they processed it in black and white.
Damn,
in fact, they accidentally sent a color reel to some theater. Somewhere out there, there's a reel of this in color because they fucked it up in processing, and they sent it to a theater with one reel in color. Which, man, can you imagine sitting through that screening? Like, I had a completely different experience in this movie than anyone else who's watched.
I'm sure everyone in the theater was like, really interesting artistic choice.
Yeah, they're like, I wonder if they did that on purpose.
In color.
Was it Wizard of Oz kind of?
It's weird, man. What does it mean?
What does it mean? What are they trying to tell me?
Didn't they shoot Young Frankenstein in color?
I can't.
I heard there was a color version of it out there, but this might be a rumor. Okay, well, either way,
there's a movie that I'm not going to mention it because it's a movie that I keep in my mind threatening to pick, but it's the exact same thing where they shot it entirely in color and then they show it in black and white, and it's like, it's crazy how well it works in black and white when you think.
Oh well, they did that with Mad Max, Fury Road.
I didn't like the black and white.
I hate the
color. The colors of that movie make that movie so good.
I agree. But for some reason, they released a black and white version. I don't know why.
Well, no. This was specifically like they didn't do a black and white version. Like when the movie came out, it was black and white for part of it. Part of it's in color and part of it's in black and white. But all the black and white stuff was shot in color and was meant to be released in color. And at some point during processing, they were like, "What if we just made it black and white?" And everybody went, "Okay, yeah, let's do that."
Oh, okay, good enough. Well, I do thumbs at this point. Hold on. All right, there we go. Yes.
I mean,
big thumbs up. It's still an average Coen Brothers movie is better than most movies.
I'm here.
Yeah, I went from like to.
I went from here to 2001
for this film.
Now.
Yeah, exactly.
I think an average Coen Brothers movie is better than most regular movies.